Immigration and refugees. We are here to talk about immigration and refugees, their role around the world, and their relation with society nowadays. In the 21st century, a recurring problem with the constant terrorist threat is the refugee crisis, in which people who have to deal with persecution, conflicts, wars, and other circumstances go to other countries where they can live without fear. While immigration has always been present, it was especially common in the early 20th century, when a large number of people from Europe and Asia went to countries like the US or Brazil, but recently this trend has died down with the post-war prosperity and the end of the Cold War. Nowadays, people generally leave underdeveloped places like Mexico and Africa to go to developed countries like Germany and Canada.
Who are refugees? According to the United Nations, refugees are people who are outside their country of origin due to persecution, conflict, generalized violence, or other circumstances that have seriously disturbed public order and, as a result, require international protection. A refugee is different from an immigrant, as the latter refers to people who willingly leave their country in search of better health, education, and jobs. What are the most common refugee destinations? There are an estimated 11 to 12 million refugees in the world today. This is a dramatic increase. Since the mid-70s, there were less than 3 million refugees worldwide. However, it has been decreasing since 1992, when the refugee population was nearly 18 million, high due to the Balkan conflict. Some countries that receive many refugees are Jordan, Turkey, Germany, and Pakistan.
What is the effect of immigration? Immigration promotes a series of socioeconomic problems. Considering the measures adopted by most developed countries in an attempt to restrict the entry of immigrants, trafficking in immigrants has intensified considerably. Countries can benefit economically from immigration, given that they can receive well-trained professionals who will help the country's economy, especially of those that have aging populations and need younger works. Another consequence is the strengthening of the discrimination attributed to international immigrants, a process called xenophobia, which is based on the fear of losing nation and ethnic identity. Xenophobic people also tend to think that immigrants will steal their jobs.
Where do most refugees come from? Conflicts in the Middle East, Africa, and elsewhere are driving hundreds of thousands of refugees to seek shelter in neighboring countries, Europe and the United States. These crises are the most recent in a long line of conflicts forcing people from their homes. Over two-thirds of the world's refugees come from just 5 countries: Syria, Afghanistan, South Sudan, Myanmar, and Somalia. People are leaving these countries for a variety of reasons. For example, there is a Muslim minority in Myanmar who has faced discrimination, persecution in a country where the majority of people are Buddhists. The governments of Myanmar consider these Muslims as illegal settlers, and the United Nations classifies them as one of the most persecuted refugee groups in the world.
How do other countries handle immigration? According to UN report, there were 272 million immigrants around the world. However, governments have chosen to have different approaches and policies about the matter. For example, Canada has adopted one of the most open immigration policies around the world, mostly because the country wants skilled labor to improve its economic growth. Another example is Japan, which is the past adopted strict immigration policies to keep a racially unique and homogeneous society. However, now the country has to deal with an aging population that can barely match the death rate, so the government has adopted more open policies, creating a system that can rate immigrants based on their job and their background.
Our view on the matter. Our group doesn't support any kind of prejudice against refugees and immigrants. Most of us, except Tozi, don't engage in any action against these people. Most of us appreciate their presence in our society and think that they are important to our country. Most of us believe that xenophobia is an idiotic doctrine for obvious reasons. They are people like everyone else, and economic ones, they can be workers and improve the economy. Most of us don't want to put our refugees and immigrants in concentration camps and get rid of them. Most of us condemn that and other related case of deplorable malpractice with the human condition. We endorse international laws that assist refugees and immigrants.
But just before we go, I have some words about Fraternity Campaign. What is Fraternity Campaign? For the blind, light. For the hungry, bread. For the thirsty, the source of water. For the dead, life. For the sick, cure. For the prisoner, freedom. For the lonely, companionship. For the traveler, the way. For the wise, wisdom. For medicine, the doctor of the doctors. For the defendant, the lawyer. For the lawyer, the judge. For the tired, the relief. For the mason, the cornerstone. For the gardener, Sharon's rose. For the sad, joy. For the reader, word. For the poor, treasure. For the debtor, forgiveness. For me, everything. If Fraternity Campaign agrees, I agree. If Fraternity Campaign says, I listen. If Fraternity Campaign makes a mistake, I forgive. If Fraternity Campaign thinks, I admire. If Fraternity Campaign has 100 fans, I'm one of them. If Fraternity Campaign has 10 fans, I'm one of them. If Fraternity Campaign has 1 fan, I'm this fan. If Fraternity Campaign has no fans, I don't exist. Thanks for your attention.